Hi there guys, this is Shane from Vision Aerial. Today we're going to talk about how to safely store and charge your batteries. Just a couple words of warning. Lithium polymer batteries are the best commercially available battery technology on the market right now, and they are great, but they do come with some additional risks. These are not your typical innocuous AA batteries. They do have much higher fire risks and need to be treated with respect. You never want to leave the charging environment unattended. You obviously don't ever want to get the batteries wet, and if the battery ever has a puncture, you want to store it in a safe environment and then recycle it as quickly as possible, as a punctured battery is a very high fire hazard. You also don't want to over discharge the battery, but we'll get into that in just a quick minute here. As you can see, I have my battery stored in a steel ammo box. This works really well. It's very safe. So let's grab a battery out of there. I think these batteries are very nearly charged, as I think I only had a 1-minute flight on it. So this is a Switchblade Switchblade Pro or a Switchblade style battery. It's a 5S 5000 milliamp hour matched cell lithium polymer battery. Just real quickly, the numbers on here: 5.0 is the capacity of the battery, meaning it's a 5000 milliamp hour or 5 amp hour battery, simply meaning you could discharge it at 5 amps for 1 hour. That's the amount of energy it stores. The 65 and 130C discharge rates simply mean you can discharge the battery at 65 times the capacity. So you could continuously discharge this battery at 325 amps, and then the 130 is the burst. So you could burst up to a discharge of 650 amps for a second or two. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and plug it in. This is the IMAX B6 AC charger. There are two leads on the battery. There's a balanced lead and a primary lead. We're going to plug the balanced lead into the balanced socket here, and then we're going to plug in the primary. Okay. Now the balanced lead has an individual wire for each cell within the battery, and this is a 5-cell or 5S battery, so there are 5 leads and 1 ground. We do this because balanced charging, or making sure that the voltage in each cell is as close to identical as possible, drastically increases the longevity of the battery. This charger is capable of doing a direct charge, which doesn't use the balanced leads, but I highly recommend against doing that, as there's no real advantage. It just could potentially overcharge one or more of your cells. So quickly, I wanted to speak about the voltage device. This comes on board each Switchblade, and this is an alarm that you plug into the balanced lead. And what it will do is it will constantly measure the voltage of each cell during the flight. And if I think 3 or more of those cells get under 3.3 volts, it will alarm. Now, in a perfect world, you should never hear this alarm go off, and if you do hear it go off, you want to land immediately, because if it's going off, you don't have much time left, and you may not have enough energy to make a safe landing. So, back onto the charger. I believe it starts here, where it will say which program you want to select, and this charger is capable of both taking different energy sources. It can be powered by AC, like we're doing today, just a wall socket, or there's a little plug here for a DC, a 12-volt DC in. That's for charging off of, say, like a lead-acid car battery if you're out in the field. So it is also capable of charging other battery chemistries like lead and nickel metal hydride, but obviously we're using a lithium polymer battery, so we're going to select that by pressing enter. And then we're going to select which charging method we want. So there's LiPo charge, which uses only the primary and doesn't balance. LiPo balance, which is what we will use. And then there are a couple other features as well. There's fast charge, which I never use out of longevity respects for the battery. Storage balancing, which is a great feature if you're not going to be using your battery for a period of time. You can plug it into here and storage balance it, which will increase the longevity of the battery and increase the safety. It's less likely to catch fire if it's got a neutral voltage. This can also discharge, although I think its max discharge rate is only 1 amp, so with a battery of this capacity it would take hours to discharge. The best way to discharge a battery, if you need to, is simply go fly. Okay, so we're going to come back to balance, and then we have 2 options here: the current rate and the voltage. The current is the amount of flow of electricity into the battery, and the voltage is set by the pack standard. So this is a 5S battery or 5-cell battery, and they even say right on the charger here for you 5S. So the charge rate can go up to, the kind of rule of default here is 1 times the capacity of the battery. So ours is a 5,000 milliamp hour battery, or 5 amp hour, that's the 5.0. So we could charge as high as 5 amps. I'm very conservative with my battery use because I like them to last a long time. So I usually charge a little bit under that. So you can see I've got 4.5 amps selected here. I select enter and I can adjust that number. So we'll leave it at 4.5. Select enter one more time. And this is where you pick the pack voltage. For the Switchblade Pro and the Switchblade Style, they're 5S batteries. So we'll leave it at 5S. If you have a standard Switchblade, that would be 4S. So you can bring it down to 1. You can see the voltage changes. So we'll bring it back to 5S. And then we're going to click and hold enter. It's going to run through each cell in the battery and make sure that they're within a chargeable voltage range. And then we're going to confirm it. So now the charger's running. And you can see it's a lithium battery on a 5S voltage. It's balanced charging. It's currently putting 2.4 amps at this very moment into the battery. Here's your timer, and here's the total pack voltage. Now, like I said, I think this battery has only a very short flight on it, so it's nearly fully charged. If you select the third button one time, that will show you, yeah, you can see it's almost completely charged. That will show you the individual cell voltage within the pack. So 4.20 is a perfect charge, and you want all the cells to be identical. If any one cell is over 4.23 or under 3.00, you've got a bad pack, and you want to recycle it. There may be a tendency to want to just say, oh, it's only 4.26, it's no big deal. It will contribute to the likelihood of a fire, and you want to take it seriously. These have an enormous amount of energy and must be respected. So once it's charging, you can see I have a little desk fan here. I like to turn this on just to make sure everything stays nice and cool. Everything should always be cool to the touch. If it's not, shut the system down immediately, safely store the battery, and you will likely need to recycle it. Nothing should ever be hot to the touch. It should always be nice and cool. Maybe just lukewarm is okay.